Good afternoon. What a wonderful and beautiful rainy day to change the world and to change perception. 10 years ago, I was on a cover page of a magazine. It was a very cool sustainability entrepreneurship magazine, and I was very, very excited about it. It was a great article, the cover page, everything was perfect, and even then, that's exactly when they started calling me Startup-Grande-Dame. But there was something about it. It said, the title, the headline was, "Like a Girl, because I am a girl." I was truly upset. There was something around in me that was just screaming, I am a woman, I am not a girl, I am not a girl, I am a woman. There was something that is happening just because of that title that really got upset me, and I was totally upset about it. To be honest, I had a grudge on the journalists for a while afterwards. But I didn't think too much about it. Why was that? But I just felt that something was wrong. Until recently, I had a discussion, a heated discussion again, about what does it mean, like a girl? And then I started thinking about it. What is it? What is happening? Why am I so upset about it? And what happens inside of me that I cannot really rationalize, and I cannot really say, why is that? And then I realized that like a girl, to me, sounds more like an insult, diminishing my being, and somehow diminishing my achievements, taking away a role that I have, but just saying, like a girl. Wow. I was like, wow, this is this perception, this something that I don't understand, and why is that, and what happened? And you have this woman in her mid-50s being totally upset about something that she basically heard when she was a child, a little girl. And I was like, that cannot be. So I started researching a little bit more about that and how it is happening, and especially looking at the field that I'm working in and something that I'm really passionate about. So it was about changing the perception. That obviously has to do only with perception, and how do we change that? And then the thought was, what if we could say, invest like a girl? What if we could put these two words, investing in a girl, together, and it had really a meaning? And that is exactly what I've been doing. In the last 20 years, I've been celebrating, shaping, and creating the startup and angel investing ecosystem in Europe. And I'm really, really passionate about it. I love working with entrepreneurs, and I love really advising them, coaching them, mentoring them, but not only entrepreneurs and startup founders, but also corporates and governments on how to create ecosystems that really have this enabling momentum for entrepreneurship, startups, innovation, and really shaping the future. And this is really the excitement. I would like to ask you a question. How many of you like your job? All right, nice. How many of you would do your job even if you were not paid for it? Good. But how many of you would do your job if you had to pay for it? If you paid for it? All right, we still have someone. Very good, very good. And this is exactly what entrepreneurs do. This is exactly what crazy entrepreneurs do. They believe that the idea that they have is worth it, and that they invest everything they have, usually all the savings they have. They borrow money, they really have no salary for a while. They're really investing into that because they believe that this is worth it. And you have to think about it. When you work with entrepreneurs, you have to think about it, like really startup founders, that they are just a bit crazy and not as usual. They do have this kind of weird thinking behind them. And what happens is that you have a person that every day wakes up upset about something, and again wakes up upset about something, and again. And then one day they say, now I'm going to create a solution to this. And this is what entrepreneurs do. They see a problem, they take it as an opportunity, and they create a solution. My favorite story is about 4 guys having diabetes and really solving the problem that they have in terms of how to live daily with the illness that they have. But it turns out that the app they have developed, that there is 350 million people out there who have the same problem. So they solved something for themselves, but there was a huge market behind it. And this is really what entrepreneurs do. They create solutions to the problems. And this is what we need in a huge amount. We need people that are ready to solve the problems. What entrepreneurs need in that sense, and when we talk about startups, and I'm talking about startups, it's really about the people that are investing and creating something that is innovative, that was not there before, and really have the potential for exponential growth. Let me tell you a story about how that works. Imagine it's night and it's dark, and you are in an old car, and your lights are bad, and you don't see much, and you're alone in your car, and you're on a mountain road, and you embark on this journey because you know that maybe on the top of that mountain, there is a castle, there is a solution that you will create, and you start your drive. But you don't know, and sometimes the car gets broken, and sometimes the lights are better or not, and then you had a co-founder, somebody who's driving with you, then you have more people in the car, and then comes a business angel, a person that invests and supports you, and then your car gets better. And then now you see more, and then your lights are better, and then you drive further, and then you get another investment, then now this road really becomes a street, and then you get a really big investor, and that road now becomes a highway, and you're driving towards your castle. This is how you can imagine how difficult sometimes it can be to really start a company and start a startup. And business angels are people that invest three sorts of capital at the very early stage. That means at an idea or pre-seed, what we call a pre-seed stage. These are people that invest financial capital, money. They invest social capital. They give you the network and everybody you need around. And human capital, they give you the knowledge that is needed in your industry. But not only that, they really get engaged and involved and are really part of the new system that you are creating. And usually they start it because they are passionate about it. And this is how the system works. So you have a startup, you have a founder that is crazy about something, starts creating something, a solution, starts a startup, has the power of business angels or early stage investors supporting them. But Houston, we have a problem. It is a problem that we can define as the ratio of 90 to 2. 90 to 2. Let me tell you a bit more about it from three perspectives. From a personal perspective, I'm a mom, and I have a daughter and a son. If my children were to start a company, my son would belong to a group that would receive 90% of the investments currently that are invested in venture capital. My daughter, simply by her gender, would belong to the group that would receive only 2%, simply based on gender. Let me be honest, I have a problem with that. I don't see why my daughter would not receive the same amount as my son, and how would that work? So from a very personal, I'm sure that some of you would have an issue with that, with your children, your sister, your brother, having that situation. Looking from another perspective, and from an investor perspective, it's clearly that female-led startups have doubled the return for every dollar invested. So you would say usually investors invest money to make money, right? Usually you would say when you invest money, you would like to have the highest return, and this is exactly what should be, that more money is invested into female startups. And this is the interesting part. Common sense is not really common practice as it seems. And this is from the personal perspective, from the investor perspective, and also for us as a society, it is important to understand that we need these solutions. We need people to really solve our problems and work on it. So how do we solve that? I mean, if we want to solve it, if we have a problem with 90 to 2, how can we do that? There are several things that we can do and we have to look at. One is enlarging the pool. So it's not about taking from somebody to give it to somebody else, but it is about creating more startups and empowering more women to become business angels. Because at the end of the day, this is exactly what we need. At the moment, there are about 10% of women are business angels. 10% of the business angels are women. And we can do a lot to change that. And we should be doing a lot to change that. And what happens there is that we have creating more solutions with the startups, but also there is more money into the market to make it really happen and to create these solutions, work toward the grand challenges of our time and make it truly happen. The second thing is, of course, the unconscious bias. We know that when you have a woman pitch and a man pitch with exactly the same slides, the chances that the man will get the money are higher than the funding than the woman. Exactly the same slides, the same language, but because we have the unconscious bias, this is something that is happening and that is part. And we can work on that. This is something we know and we can really be working on it. But it's also about the questions that are being asked. Women are asked more preventive questions in terms of the risk-taking and how to minimize the risk, while the men are asked more promotional questions, which is, how can you make your vision happen and what is going to happen, how you can create these incredible and fantastic solutions that are there. And definitely the fact how we can have more female angel investors. I believe that, in fact, angel investing, as I said from the beginning, these three sorts of capital, and really being engaged with the startup, is something that is more natural, if we want, to women. Because it has a certain caring factor. When you invest your money into a startup, you care. Of course, what you want at the end of the day is money, let's be honest. But the point is that you have to care about to make sure that your startup is doing well so that they perform well, so that you have the money at the end of the day. And this caring part is something that women do a lot. This is something that a lot of women really have as mentoring. In many companies, you would have women that are supportive in terms of really giving the knowledge, the network, even giving some money, really being supportive, and they call it mentoring. And I believe it is really important that we start to professionalize that segment and that relationship, because it is important to me, if I'm a woman investor, a female investor, I want to make sure that I can profit from I can benefit from your company if you're doing the right job. And on the other hand, it is for you important to know that I'm investing in you. Not because you are a beautiful woman, but because your startup, your company is worth it. And I think that makes it really different to professionalize. Something that I've been doing with the European Business Angel Network, we just launched recently the manifesto for gender-balanced angel investing ecosystem. We want to increase the number of female investors, but also the startups and what is happening over there. But it's really kind of an important part. And if you are thinking this is not important, let me tell you, Melinda French Gates, Mackenzie Scott, Clunia Amal, Michelle Obama, all these women are investing money to make sure that equality or that it is invested into female startups. Melinda Gates is even saying that we need to have an alternative, or how I would call it, an additional ecosystem. She's saying Silicon Valley is not going to change. We got to do something about it, create an additional ecosystem where we will care more about the gender bias or the gender equality at the end of the day, because we know that all companies that have a gender diversity are performing much better than the companies that do not have that. And definitely, it is about changing the perception. I have a dream. I really dream of a world where young people, also people like you here, teenagers, would start thinking of themselves as investors. Investing in your education, investing in yourself, in your family, investing into your future. It's not about just the cash on the stock market. It's just perceiving that what you're doing has consequences on the long term. And it is about creating this view that maybe you are an investor, and that girls and boys can think of that. I would like to think of a world, and I'm sure it can be, where we can say, and where my son and my daughter will be proud to say, you invest like a girl. Because that would mean that it is a strategy, an investment strategy that is bold and courageous, yet compassionate and caring, but above all, a long-term investment strategy that works beneficial to us all. I believe in a world where we, together, can really, no matter of our gender, and no matter who you are and what you do, you can create and make a difference. Because you have the right to make the difference. And you can by changing your perceptions of your power and who you are and what you can do. Because let's be honest, we don't have time. We need all the potential that is out there. No matter the gender, no matter where you come from, no matter who you are, we need all that potential to solve the grand challenges of our time. We need you. And I have a dream where we all together will be creating a world that we dream of. Thank you.